For our lesson that we would be doing this week, tomorrow, Saturday, we were going to be doing some of the initial dagger work that Meyer teaches. Due to the fact that we don't have a class here, we're going to be covering just a couple of simple things that you can work on at home. This is not dense in the text, and none of this is coming from later where you're going to get the devices. This is just simple conceptual beginning stuff. Literally the first 2 pages of the dagger section is what we're going to talk about today, but excellent stuff to practice. The core of this material is parrying from above and from below, from 2 different positions that Meyer has. The first one, Oberhut, up here. The second one, Underhut, down here. My opponent is going to be attacking me largely the same way every time. He's going to be thrusting at my chest, thrusting at me from above every time. Meyer is basically expecting someone to be coming at me like this for most of these attacks, be it like from straight up here or be it from here. Either way, that thrust is coming in at me with an extended arm in this particular grip. The first 2 of these are parryings from above, as in I am up high and he is coming down at me and I'm going to parry. I'll show you the first one. I'm catching the dagger, or his wrist on my dagger first. I'm reaching and turning this into like a hanging guard. Wrapping my dagger around his wrist, I'm pinching so that I have some traction here on his arm. From here, I'm going to step, pull him this way with that dagger, and then follow through by striking and thrusting. The point of this is this parry. As he comes down, it is catching, wrapping, and pulling. The rest that happens is extra credit. Meyer has a specific thing there, but it's not meant as a script for you that you're required to follow, rather just a good example of something to do when you've contained their arm and controlled the weapon. That's the first one from above. One more time, I want to show you that. So as he's coming down, I'm catching on my dagger. My dagger is pointing off to my left, and I'm arresting this motion here. Now, if I were to stop here, he would simply push through it or move around it fairly simply, one way or another, right? He would get around this. I don't stay here. I hook, make a pinch here, hold his arm, control it, and then finish. Whatever you want to do. Bash with the pommel, thrust with the point. Once you've got him there, you have a lot of liberty. The second one is going to come a little bit differently, but again, I'm coming from this position. The second one, as he comes in, I'm going to hook and thrust over his arm, as Meyer says, thrust over his oncoming arm behind the dagger at his wrist. From here, I'm going to pull him to my right and then pull up my knife and thrust. If I'm here and he comes back to protect himself, pass it, thrust at his chest over there. Simple enough. The core of this technique is that parrying, that catching the initial thrust. The rest of it is extra credit. So again, comes in, catch, pinch, pull off to the right, thrust as he comes back to defend, thrust. All right, very nice. Now we're going to move to the 2 parryings from below. They're going to look a lot alike. You're just doing the parryings from above from a different starting position, from the Underhut position. He will be attacking me the same way. I will be standing in Underhut. My lead arm, my right arm is forward. My dagger is held low, but pointed at my enemy. I'm not up high here. I'm bringing this down to here by my belt. I was playing with this earlier and felt that this was a fairly decent recovery position from if I were to thrust at him from above and he were to simply take a step back and avoid it. This is a good place to be if I fail that thrust, if I reach and he makes distance. Just a thought. So from here, the first one we're going to do, he will thrust from above. I'm going to thrust at his incoming arm, catching it on my wrist. Pinching, we've seen this before, pulling down and thrusting. The rest of it is extra credit. But the core of this is, as he comes down, catching, pinching, controlling with this pinching motion on his arm down to this place, and thrusting to finish the fight. That's the first one. You saw this before when it was done this way. Now I'm doing it from below, where I'm catching on my arm with my dagger behind his wrist. That's the important part, is getting my dagger behind his wrist with that initial thrust. One more time. He attacks, catch, pinch, hold down, and then thrust. Very good. All right. Next one, the two parryings from below, presented as an item in Meyer's text, which means it's more of a general principle, but it fits in very nicely with the other one, and it is absolutely in line with what he tells you to do earlier in the first two parryings from above. This one, as he comes in, I'm going to catch on my dagger just as before. I'm going to backtrack that one step. I'm bringing my knife up, catching it on my dagger with my dagger pointing to my back. From here, wrap over his arm, pull him down to my left. Doesn't matter terribly much what happens there. I don't have to keep that because I'm going to be coming back up, striking, controlling, and thrusting. The important part of this is the initial catch and control. As he comes in, catching, controlling. The rest of it's extra credit. Strike, thrust. Very good. Now I'm going to perform some of these a little bit more live so that you can see these in action. If I totally botch these, it's because I'm new at this too. This is a new unit for our club, and I was expecting very much to have you, my friends, help me get better at this. So if you see me fumble with something, it's because, again, I'm learning this right along with you. I'm just leading you through the process. You will see in this each technique performed 2 times, in order as presented before. I will be attempting to perform them. My friend here will be attempting to thrust me through those parryings. All right? Let's do this. All right, thank you. A little shorter than last week, but hopefully I've given you some material to practice. If you don't have a partner and you don't want to touch anybody right now, please look at the text on this and practice holding the dagger and moving through these in the air in front of a mirror and imagining this. This is a very good exercise for training your brain to practice solo and read and understand these texts. Thank you very much.